Mrs. Sonali ma'am. She is the Director of CAPPA India. And today on our episode of By Our Medcast by Yogita and Rashmi, we have invited ma'am to talk about CAPPA India and the scopes of certificate courses which their organization offers. So we would like to welcome ma'am with a very warm heart, and we would like to ask ma'am to introduce herself to our viewers and tell something about how CAPPA India works.
Okay. Hi. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast, and it's my pleasure to be here. So I'm Sonali Shiblani. I am a mother to two kids, and my kids can't be called kids anymore. That's what I've been told because they're grown up and almost ready to fly the nest. So my son's already working. He is in the UK. My daughter is getting ready to go for a master's this year. So I'm going to be a freer bird now. Anyway, so cliche, my pregnancy journey kind of pushed me into the direction of education and support for the perinatal journey. When I
Okay.
was pregnant the first time, I kind of, could not find anything to my satisfaction in terms of answering my questions, even though I had great doctors, I had a great OB, I had a great pediatrician, but still I was a very curious mother. When my kids were a little bit grown up, my husband kind of suggested that I should look for something in this space. And that's how I found CAPPA. So, CAPPA International is based in the US and it's a perinatal training organization. It's basically targeted education and support. And I certified with CAPPA and I started my career as a professional in this space in 2004. So I've been practicing for 21 plus years now. I've also gone ahead
Okay.
and done other certifications, which we can talk about as part of the CAPPA bouquet of offerings. But that's been my journey. Somewhere in 2009, I took on the position of the director of CAPPA in India to bring the scope of services, the trainings, the etc. to India. So it may not be possible for everybody to go to the US to do a training. And also, we have trainings which have an Indian touch to it. So we don't only offer whatever the US curriculum is, but we keep the US curriculum so it's an international program. But we also add in a lot of Indian elements so that people who are going to live, work, practice, and work with mothers in India, they have a training in the Indian aspects too. So that's a little bit about me and my journey. And yes, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. Ma'am, I was visiting Kappa website, so I came across a lot of courses. One is the childbirth educator. Then there is a lactation educator. Then there is a new parent educator. Then there is a labor educator. So please elaborate and educate our viewers about that.
Okay, so CAPPA International actually has multiple courses, and we picked and chose the courses which would work in the Indian market. And as you rightly said, the childbirth educator, the lactation educators, we have five courses which we brought to the Indian market, which we thought would make sense. So our base course, or the most popular course, so to say, is the childbirth educator. What
Okay.
these people do, what these professionals do, is they work with mothers in the pregnancy journey. So they are with mothers from the time that they are expecting to the time that they actually go into labor. Talking about
Hmm.
everything related to pregnancy, babies, labor, birth, do's and don'ts, warning signs, hand holding a mother during pregnancy. So, if you want to make it more simple, these are the professionals who conduct pregnancy classes. My
Okay.
second program is the pregnancy fitness educator. So I believe and I think it's actually a unified truth as well that when a mother is fit, the baby is fit. So if the
True.
pregnancy is fit, the baby is going to be fit, the delivery is going to be easy. So pregnancy fitness educator talks about fitness during pregnancy, and the three focus areas are nutrition, exercise, and emotional well-being. The third course that we have is the labor doula. And the
Hmm.
labor doula is, it comes from the Greek word to serve. Doula means to serve. And these women or professionals. I can't even only say women because we do have male professionals as well. So these professionals will actually be with the parents from the time labor starts to the time that the baby is born, and they will support them in the positions, the breathing, positive reinforcement, just get them through the labor process one contraction at a time.
Okay.
The fourth program is the lactation educator, and as the name suggests, it's everything to do with breastfeeding. So these professionals do work during pregnancy, but that's a little rare because the childbirth educators are taking this space there. So they generally step in once the woman has had her baby in the
Hmm.
hospital, post the discharge from the hospital, anything to do with the lactation journey where it talks about getting the baby started, latch, position, and etc. And the last but not the least is my new parent educator. Life after baby is a roller coaster. And
Okay.
these, educators will talk about everything from massage to diapers to nappies to, sleep training to even the emotional changes that a mother would go through. So the mood swings, etc. So they work with parents after and guide them in these areas. So this is the broad spectrum of the courses. I know you mentioned the word scope. I think I just like to put one thing there. As long as my educators don't do a diagnosis or a prescription, it's all good, right? So the scope of work is education and support. It's not diagnostic and prescriptive. So we're not medical professionals. We're not here to say, oh, you have a breast infection, here's the antibiotic, or the baby has colic, so here's what you could do. So what we would do in that situation is, okay, you have a breast infection. You definitely need to visit your doctor, but you keep feeding the baby. You could make these dietary changes which could help in taking care of the infection not recurring, and then so on and so forth.
All of these courses, when I was visiting CAPPA India, so all of these courses have been enlisted. And if for say like I am a nurse by profession, or any other individual, how can one go about enrolling themselves, and then how the training works? Like, please take us through the process from enrollment to the process to getting the certification in hand.
Well, to start with, we don't really need somebody to be a nurse or a physiotherapist or a dietitian or a doctor to enroll because it's a non medical profession. However, we do acknowledge that if you already hold certain certifications, like if you're a registered nurse, you can check out the accelerated pathway. So we have an accelerated pathway which recognizes the fact that you already are holding certain qualifications, so you don't need to go through so much more. So you can go the faster pathway, and that is one way of doing it. But let's assume that we don't have any certified professional and we have a layperson who comes in and says, I think I want to get involved in the perinatal support journey. So they want to register. So they come into the website, they look at the different courses, they think what kind of speaks to them. So I've explained the courses. You might think that, okay, I would like a flexible option and I want to be the childbirth educator. I would like to work in hospitals and have a little bit more steady time frame so that I could be the lactation educator. I want to kind of, I'm okay with an erratic schedule, so I would like to be the labor doula. So it depends on what speaks to you and what's your passion. Now, once you've decided that, on our website, there is a registration form. You could fill that out. Our phone numbers are also available, our email addresses are available. You can drop us a mail, you can drop us a text on WhatsApp. All payments are done via bank transfers. We don't use credit cards and cash, etc. It's all bank transfers. When you've decided on your course, and if you have a payment issue, you could also ask for an installment option because we have installment schemes for students so that it helps them to complete the courses rather than stay away because finances are an issue. So once you've filled out your form, you've made your initial registration fee payment or the full course fee payment, whatever it is. From our end, it takes about 48 hours to start the process, and this is working hours. Okay, so if you filled a form on a Saturday or a Sunday morning, then work starts for us on Monday. So 48 hours from Monday is what you can consider. We'll start sending you your welcome email, your student bona fide note, all the forms. We've started sending all the forms as electronic versions because people found it easier to fill them out. So we send out the forms, we send out your study guide, and etc. And we assign your mentor. Now, it's a democratic process. The student can also select their mentor. So, if, for example, you like the profile of a particular trainer, you could select that person as your trainer. The other thing that a student can also select is how they want to do the study. So we have three pathways in the study method. Option one is you want to come to a center. You are that person who wants to sit across the room, you want to touch me physically, and you want to kind of, do your lessons that way. So we have in-person trainings. Then you have to obviously select a trainer who does in-person. You have to come to a location where the in-person is. The second is the Zoom training, something like what we're doing right now, where I'm still live, I'm still here, or whichever trainer you've selected is still live and in the room with you, but in a Zoom room or in a online virtual room. And the third is, you don't have any, you don't make any commitment. You were like, no, I don't want to commit myself to a particular timing and etc. So then you can offer a pre-recorded version where you can get onto your class anytime, whether it's 2 a.m. or 2 in the afternoon or 12 o'clock, whatever you like. So it's pre-recorded. So now in this situation, what happens is you do your lesson, you do your assignment. If you're stuck anywhere, your mentor can help and guide you. So once you've picked your course, you've picked your pathway, you've picked your trainer, then your work begins. So you've got your material, you will start doing what we call your study guide. Now, the study guide sounds, oh my God, a study guide, but it's really simple. It's only about like 50 questions. And the whole idea is that because we're bringing in people from different streams, right? Like, so we could have a nurse, but we could also have an engineer, or we could have an MBA grad. I've also had gynacs and radiologists and, pediatricians who've done these courses. So there are people who are coming in from different streams. So I don't know what your base level knowledge is. So what I try with this study guide is that everybody comes to the same level. So if I use any terms and terminologies in the training, you're not looking at me blankly if you're not a medico or if you've not come from a particular background. So once you've submitted that and that's been evaluated, then you start your actual training depending on what pathway you've selected. Once you finish your training and your training assignments, then we have what is called the post training assignments. Now, post training gets a little practical. So you do a research paper. You also kind of get into doing things like observations and etc. And then you write your exam. So the exam is not like coming to a center and sitting down and writing a paper in a time limit. The exam is actually an online exam, and you get a username and password. You will complete your exam, and yeah, that's how the whole process works. If everything's satisfactory, then you submit your forms, and then we process your certification, which can take about 6 weeks. Yeah, after you've submitted everything.
You can come offline, or either you can join the Zoom classes, or you can do the pre-recorded thing. So, what is the time duration to complete each certification? And are the Zoom calls combined, or it is one-on-one session with your mentor?
Sorry, I think that was a call that. Yeah, sorry. I'm just going to also walk with my phone and not disturb the Zoom, but there's someone at the door. So basically, here's what happens, right? Like, if you are in a regular pathway, then you're going to be doing the course uh, within 2 years. You have to submit everything. If you are in the accelerated pathway, that means you are a nurse, you have some pre-qualification, then you would be doing it within 1 year. That's the general breakup.
Are going to be one-on-one or they are going to be in a group?
So, for example, I have 6 students who submitted the study guide and they are now ready to attend the training. We put them all together in a batch, decide a time and day, and that's how it goes. Uh, when we're doing it on Zoom, we want you to come in for about 12 to 14 sessions. So the group decides the time of the session and the day, and then that's fixed for the entire journey.
That for the certification you have to go through an exam, and exam is not subjective, but you have to do a proper research thing. So please elaborate on that process.
After the training. So there's a research paper that you do, there is observations that you do, and you write your exam. So the exam is an open book test. You get a username and password. The first section is multiple choice questions. The second section is case studies. And the third section evaluates your scope of practice understanding.
On CAPPA India, the certificates which has been provided to the educators, to be educators, that are internationally certified. Please elaborate.
Comes from the international office. So that's why the whole process takes 6 weeks. If everything's satisfactory, we would evaluate it, we would put down our comments, and then we would send the paperwork to the international office. If they want to audit something, they would, and then they would issue the certificate number.
Certificates are internationally given. Okay, okay, great. Ma'am, once you enrolled in a course, online or offline, the prices that are already mentioned on the website are going to be the same for everyone. And please give an disclaimer for the viewers to be aware of the fraudants, because nowadays on online business everybody is getting fraud left, right, and center. So please just give a disclaimer from your side.
Thing is that so I mean I gave all the whole process is pretty seamless. It can be done via the website, but if somebody wishes to call me, my phone number is there on the website, and they can kind of call me, speak to me. Uh, yeah, and the Kappa website, the Kappa India website, is now about 16 years old. So we have all the reviews from past students, etc., already on the website. So it's a genuine website. Plus, it is connected to the Kappa International website. So you don't even need to open kappaindia.com. You can go to kappa.net, which is the international website, and click through from there. So then you know that you've hit the correct website. So, yes, you're right. There are lots of frauds that happen. And then eventually, we are doing an NEFT. We're not even doing a credit card payment. So it's only once you fill your registration form that you can kind of, go ahead and do the payment.
The people do these educator certifications, what are the scope of careers they can opt to? Like, just give me 2 3 example of any course. After you do this certification, you have these options, and how can you earn something for yourself? Because at the end of the day, money is a big motivation to do anything for everybody. Everybody.
uh, I mean, one thing that we do, and that is one of the reasons why Kappa India exists. Also, it's not just to teach you about uh, Indian pregnancy and Indian lactation and all the Indian stuff, but it also teaches you the marketing and business promotion of these careers in India. So, if a person has done the course with us, one of the segments of our training talks about marketing and business promotion and setting up your business. But just to kind of, put a little brief idea, if I start with my most popular course, that's the Childbirth Educator, and it says that, they're the ones who do the pregnancy classes. Now, you could either affiliate with a doctor or maternity home and you could take the classes for them in house. That makes it really simple because you get the space, you get the students, because the doctor, the hospital will also promote you. You could set up private practice where you could be doing the sessions in your own space. You could do live Zoom sessions. Nowadays, that's become very popular after COVID. You could affiliate with brands, right? There are a lot of, if you see the Indian baby and maternity market, it's like exploding right now. So everybody wants to, provide some kind of a services. So the requirements for experts at the back end has really gone up multifold, and not just for persons sitting on a seat and talking to a bunch of pregnant women, but also at the back end being the support system on a chat service or an application or whatever. A lactation educator, for example, would definitely, I recommend, affiliate with a hospital. So, for example, a mother has delivered a baby and I'm attached to a particular hospital. I would visit her at the bedside maybe 24 hours after, answer all her breastfeeding questions, help her to position and latch the baby, and any other questions from the family. I would take care of all that. So, I would get paid for that visit. I could also leave my card behind, and in case she has any issues after the hospital, she could reach out to me for a private consult. So there are various ways that you can build your career. It's just important that you pivot depending on the opportunity that you get. If you wear blinders and say, "Oh, but I'm this, so I should do this," because that's the traditional view of that particular career, it's not like that anymore. The world is like a roller coaster and it's changing very dynamically. So you have to also be dynamic.
While answering this, that you can have your own private practice. So, how does it work? Like, I want to ask, if I am certified for, let's say, a childbirth educator, can I open my own setup and people come to me for the sessions? Is it like that?
Whether people will come or not, that depends on people, right? So we might kind of, have in Bombay, it's like real estate is like a big, big expanse. So a lot of times, when people put up their own space, I tell them that think practically before you start, unless you have very deep pockets. Maybe start working at a hospital or with a doctor. It's okay to share the income in the beginning, and then kind of, after you wet your feet, then graduate into taking something more on your own. But having said that, sure you can. So if you do set up your own space, then you have to do the rounds of visiting multiple doctors, or leaving your brochures and pamphlets behind, visiting cards behind, talking about your services, taking to the social media, just basically building yourself up so that people become aware of that service existing in that particular locality. And that's when people will start coming to you. It can take time to build up.
And it is just same like you do something and then you get your networking done, and then you open your own setup so that people at least come, so that whatever you have invested should come back. Okay. Ma'am, after the certification, I don't know about the other non-medical professionals, but for myself, I can speak for myself. Nurses have to get their license renewed every 5 years. So, are these certificates has to be renewed, or they are lifetime validity? Like, how does it work?
3 years, because see, now you understand, because you're a medical professional, you do need to stay current, you need to be updated. You can't be you know doing the things which were being done 10 years ago, 20 years ago. That's not how it works. So we do need you to recertify, but it's not a full certification. It's like a really tiny bit of the certification where you need certain continuing education units, etc. And there are various opportunities and options for that. The biggest opportunity and the cheapest, I would say, is attending the CAPPA conference. So when CAPPA started in India, we were not doing an India conference because we were a very tiny branch. But now we actually have expanded and we are more than 800 members strong. So it becomes easier for us to organize an annual conference. So we've been organizing an annual conference every year for the last 3 years now, and you get your 15 hours of continuing education units just by attending the CAPPA conference.
Renewal of the certificate, and yet you can get just by attending the CAPA. international content.
Per CEU, it's like literally 1:1 ratio. If you do other places, it'll depend on the ratio that they give.
Because exactly, I can understand because we need 150 hours for in within 5 years, and it is a difficult task. It is not that easy with as it seems on the paper. So that
Uh, 1 year conference actually works out about 9 or 10 hours. So what happens is that you have to attend one every year, and in 3 years you'll collect about 25-30 hours. So you'll be done.
it is a very great initiative by Kappa that you are getting your people getting the units of the continuing education, because when you have to do it on your own, so people end up losing it, and then you end up losing a person which you have been training for so much time. So it is a very thoughtful initiative, and I really appreciate whosoever was a policy maker for this particular policy. I really appreciate him or her.
Like right from the word go, I believe. I joined them in 2004, so 2003. So I know about it since then. I wanted to do conferences when ICAPA came to India in 2009, but with 4, 5, 6, 7 members, it made no sense. Now we kind of have a little bit of steam so that we can take this.
Kappa conferences are offline or are they online? Like, what is the medium?
Very adventurously in 2023 with a physical conference, and but we also did an online version, so that come with their own set of responsibilities. Even though,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, for them to leave their house, their children, their families, and then just march off to a different city for a conference might not really be the thing that happens. So we also did an online version. We did a physical conference in 2024 as well, and this time we were very lucky. We were hosted by Yashoda Hospital in Hyderabad, and
Okay.
they helped us with the entire setup scenario, etc. But in both these years, what I realized was that, and I did a virtual conference in 24 as well. So what I realized was that the attendance was much higher at the virtual conference as compared to the in-person conference. In-person was always a struggle because of the various reasons that I've already cited. Travel
Exactly.
expenses, timings, figuring out a schedule and a right date for it, all of those things. So then in 25, we just did a virtual conference. We said, let's just go virtual and see how that works. So we've had the same attendance as 23 and 24 in the virtual. So we've kind of decided to continue with virtual unless something
Okay. Okay.
changes.
Exactly, ma'am. And it is very convenient because not everybody, also, you never know the other person is stuck in which situation. So everybody can take out time for at least virtual conferences, and it
Yeah.
is very helpful.
Yeah.
As I was checking out your Instagram, I got to know that you are also a lactation educator and a childbirth educator. So I have few spicy questions to ask from you.
Go
So
ahead.
so, what are the common problems or myths which you come across talking to clients, which specifically comes to you in person, or you get in touch with who you are teaching for the childbirth? So, what are the common myths they have?
They have so many. I mean, I think the different foods that can contribute to the skin
Hmm.
color of the baby, the shape of the stomach, which kind of can tell you what is the gender. They
Oh,
come up with
okay.
all of those things. The eclipse is a very popular one. Where they say that if there's an eclipse, a pregnant woman should not be even getting up. They should just be lying down, not eating, not drinking, not using any product, and etc. I actually had a mother who was told that she should not even go to the bathroom during the eclipse, and that was I said, how is that possible? You're pregnant, your bladder is on overtime right now. And if the eclipse is going to last for like 6, 7 hours, not going to the bathroom is ridiculous. How in heaven's name is that going to harm your baby? So yeah, there are lots of things around the myths that Indian women have. But many times, as an educator, we have to respect the cultural aspects also, because if we completely go against everything, women are not going to want to come for the classes because their families are going to rebel. So we have to tread a fine line when we are, answering questions or busting myths. Lactation is another ball game altogether. I mean, they think that if they have something cold, the baby will catch a cold. If they have something spicy, the breast milk will become spicy. If they have something as simple as chana, the baby is going to get gas. So there are again like a whole bunch of myths in the lactation world as well. Lactation, honestly, I'm a little bit more firmer when I answer and bust myths in the hospital. I actually sit the mother, the father, and the grandparents down. When I'm doing a consult, I speak to the mother alone first, and then I ensure that the family also comes in so that I can bust those myths. And the reason I'm a little bit more firmer during lactation is because it's now impacting not just one but two lives. And if
Exactly.
the mother is going to be deprived of certain nutrients and etc., then it's going to be a problem for her health, the baby's health, her future health. So I kind of, don't like to leave that to chance, and try to get the entire family on board.
It is a very smart thing because, ma'am, even when I was doing my internship, I for the midwifery for the labor class portion of my degree. So I used to come across a lot of myths, and as simple as thing like you cannot, women cannot get a property without her husband or a grandma or a mother-in-law's permission. It was so shocking to me because I was like, okay, fine. Like if we would just ask her if you are this is your third child, you want to get a property, so she would go like, yeah, ask my husband, ask my mother-in-law. Some women is so resistant that don't put it. Then they will do lot of drama at home. I won't be able to make it, so don't put it. At least just tell the permission from them. So it is so. I don't know how to articulate into it in the words that you cannot even decide for your own body. So such
Yeah,
things
it is unfortunate. But
exactly,
yeah, see, I think fortunately, because my dealings, personal dealings, are more in Mumbai, and
exactly.
Mumbai is a slightly more, let's say, advanced modern market where
Hmm.
women are independent. They are also generally earning members of the family. So keeping all that in perspective, it's easier. But I get what you're saying. I mean, they are so bound sometimes that it's really difficult for them
Exactly,
to make decisions.
exactly. And it is a very smart way to sit whole family down so that nobody uh, talks
Yeah.
like you don't know. So everybody knows now.
Yeah. So lactation, I'm a little bit more firmer because, as I told you, I mean, I feel it makes a difference to not just one but two lives, and for the
Exactly,
baby, it's the formative period. It's going to make such a difference. So yeah, it's a good idea to get both of them
exactly.
on.
Ma'am, do you think there, please enlist few things, a few problems which you have come across your practice, so that the new educators who are going to watch it, if you do, so they can focus more on that, so that which is common in India and which that those topics will going to help them in their practice, so that they get more aware and go prepared when they go to their first client.
So, actually, I think the first thing that as an educator you have to keep in mind is that you need a lot of patience. There are
Mhm.
going to be the same questions which are going to go again and again and again. So from the nausea to the back pain to whatever, everything is very repetitive work for you. So you have to have a lot of patience. The second, I think empathy is very important as a quality, if I have to put it. You do need to put yourself in the mother's shoes and then give the advice, because you can't just randomly, like, textbook knowledge is not going to make sense. So the cultural aspect comes in, right? The general ways that mothers do struggle with, there are dietary challenges and making them eat healthy, even though today's women are very aware of
Mm-hmm.
healthy eating, but still, they're still not aware of balanced eating. So when we're looking at
Exactly.
healthy eating, yes, if I eat a roti and if I eat vegetables, of course it's healthy, but it's not balanced because I've missed out on the protein. Or if I've
Mm-hmm.
had rajma chawal, which is like a very popular North Indian dish, I've had my protein, I've had my carbs, but I've not had a balanced meal because I didn't have my veggies. So I think one of the challenges that we face as educators is helping parents understand what is balanced eating. So that will
Mm-hmm.
help them during pregnancy, post birth, and even as a new parent educator, because the mother's parents are going to look after the child, right? So then the child also gets inculcated with these great habits. The
Exactly.
second area I think that we generally struggle with is exercise. People seem to think that, oh, I walk, and what they're doing is they walk at home. I do all the housework. Yes, but you have to understand that what you're doing in terms of regular things which you've been doing for years, your body is used to it. Your body is not going to get any benefit out of it because the body is used to it. So when you do
Mm-hmm.
something additional, like if you kind of do a brisk walk, or if you take yourself to the park and walk every day for 30 minutes, or you start doing some prenatal or postnatal workout, that's different. So your body will get the benefit out of it that you are trying to achieve. So that's the second area. The third area, and that's a sticky one, is balancing the needs of the mother with the medical
Mm-hmm.
community. And,
Okay.
we do need to be that bridge, right? Because often what is felt is, like, by the mothers, that the doctors out there to make money, right? And what is felt by the doctors is that these childbirth educators are putting all sorts of nonsense in the mothers' heads, and that's why the mothers are coming back and asking us questions. So, a
Okay.
good childbirth educator or a good perinatal educator in any of these spaces understands that they are not the be all and end all, they are the bridge. And they are the ones who are going to make sure that both the mother and the doctor are comfortable. Can I function independently without the doctor? No, I do
No.
need, like, if the mother has an abscess, I do need the doctor to prescribe the medication, drain the abscess, and do all of that, right? So if I can't be the doctor, then I should not badmouth the doctor. I should not step onto medical toes. I should keep that fine line. And the same way, help the mother to understand that the doctor is not there just to cut her open and make an extra buck. But in case there is a genuine medical reason, only then a procedure is done. So if we can
Okay.
teach our mothers how to ask the right questions without antagonizing, then I think that would be a great balance.
Exactly. I can totally understand, ma'am, because I have been working in healthcare throughout my degree. So I can totally understand the thing you said that the professionals who have been doing this for a period of time, for decades, they feel these are some new people entering into the market and blabbering, just studying few
Yeah.
books, and they don't have experience. So I can totally understand. But I think India is such a densely populated country that you have to have such professionals to get the labor process, to get the delivery process, to get the education process seamless. Unless until you don't have educated professional individuals, it is not going to happen. Because during my training period, I used to feel the mothers are so under prepared for the labor. It is primarily mothers, the mothers who are pregnant for the first time, they are so underprepared for the labor. I used to feel very bad for them that at least they should have to have few labor classes so that they can understand that what is going to happen because it is their first time.
Right. No,
So,
so I think
uh,
one of the best compliments that I've ever gotten from a doctor that I worked with. God bless him. He was my mentor. He was my teacher. He actually gave me my first class. I got my certificate, and he said, "Let's try it out." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, for a new person in with a certificate which is 15 days old, to get a break was awesome. So that is what he had. After about a year of taking classes at his place, he actually one day came up and he told me this, that you have made my life so easy. And I was like, okay, how is that? And he was like, because I can go home to my family early. I finish my OPD hours quicker because you're answering all these questions in the class that they don't have those questions for me. Should I drink
Hmm.
coconut water? Should I sleep like this? Should Am I allowed to do this? Can I watch a movie in the theater? I mean, there are so many small questions that a pregnant mother might have, right? So this was all taken care of in the classes. So when they would come to him, there was a blood pressure check, there was the weight check, which the nurse would do, and then he was just like, everything is okay, everything is fine. Check with the Doppler, and 5 minutes the mother would be done. So I
And
mean,
with
I
their iron tablets and calcium tablets, it's all
yeah,
done.
I cherish that compliment like anything, and I think that just made my entire career. Not forget about my day, but it made my entire career. And I said, okay, this is worth what I'm doing is really worth it,
Exactly.
because I'm not only making the mother's lives, or the father and the mother or the family's life more happy and comfortable, and etc. But I'm also making it comfortable for the doctors that I'm
Comfortable.
working with. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think this is the best compliment one can ever get. And I also felt equally happy as you are feeling, because I can understand, because I have been there and I've seen it, and I can understand. And I really feel that we need so many professionals to be on it, and even in the government hospitals, because the patient load is so much, and the patients are so undereducated about about the process that she is going through. So I think it should be it should be a permanent thing in the government hospital, that you have to have a lactation educator, you have to have a childbirth educator, and you have to have a labor educator, and it makes things so much easier and so much faster. And the patient loads, the OBGYN department is so much loaded, and they need help. And
They
I
do.
really wish and I
Yeah.
really wish that government take steps and
Actually,
collaborate with
the
CAPPA
government
and
does.
get
Yeah, the
people
government
on
does.
it.
Yeah, the government does actually have certain programs which
Mm-hmm.
cover some of these areas. So there
Mm-hmm.
is the ASHA program, there is the
Mm-hmm.
DIMAS, the Matrika program. So they do have such initiatives. They just are probably underfunded, and this is where a whole blend of the ecosystem which says, let's bring in the corporates which have the money because they want to do CSR activities, and let's bring in the government because they have the clout to kind of push these programs through, and then let's bring in educators like us who can actually do the groundwork, and then that
Exactly.
could actually make an entire difference in the maternal and you know uh, pediatric scenario in India. Because let's look at it this way, right? We are I think, the second largest populous country in the world, and we keep
Exactly.
jumping from the top position to the second position, back to the top position. Because right now we are the second largest. So we are obviously growing our population by leaps and bounds. And we have so many new, well, this is going to be our future generation. So the working class of the India is currently being gestated, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
So why not,
Exactly.
make it different? If mothers are eating healthy, it's impacting the pregnancy, it's impacting the growth of the baby, it's making babies smarter and healthier. So we're delivering a next generation which is healthier and smarter. So yeah,
Exactly.
a good ecosystem in this space would really make a world of difference.
Ma'am, you are talking about the ASHA program and the daimas who used to deliver the babies, their specific training classes. That is specific to the rural population. let's
Yeah.
say village and the subcenters and the PHCs, but the actual the actual load in the maternity section is in tertiary hospitals, like
Hmm.
big tertiary hospitals in the big cities, where it is a preconceived notion that a lot of professionals are present there, but on one professional, the number of patient load is beyond the power of a one person that one can
Yeah.
handle so much questions. So
There is also
at the
another organization known as BPNI, which is doing a like good work. At least in Bombay,
okay.
I see that
Mm-hmm.
in the area of breastfeeding. So
Okay,
that also
BPNI.
BPNI, yeah,
Okay.
Breastfeeding Promotion Network of India.
Okay. Ma'am, let us do a myth-buster segment where we will be busting the myths which are very common among the population. They ask everybody who is related to the field. First, first myth is papaya can cause abortion if eaten in pregnancy.
So, papaya does have an enzyme known as papain, which can cause contractions. But this is generally in the first trimester, and that also for a uterus which is unstable. So now we
Mm-hmm.
don't know whether the uterus is unstable or not unstable, etc. So therefore, just as a general understanding, for the first 3 to 4 months, we generally suggest don't eat papaya. The other thing is that this enzyme is the highest when a papaya is raw. So I would also say don't eat a raw papaya. But again, we don't know whether a person understands if it's a raw papaya or a ripe papaya. So therefore, we just say for the first 3 4 months, don't eat papaya. But after that, you can eat a small quantity of ripe papaya, and it's not a problem.
Okay. There is a one saying which is all over the internet that you should not be giving salt and sugars to your children until they turn 2 years. So,
Well, that's true. We don't give salt till 1 year because
mhm,
the kidney of the child is still immature and is still developing, so it can
mhm,
overload and it may not cause an immediate reaction, but in the long term, it can impact the kidney health. So, keeping that in perspective, salt is not given to babies up till 1 year of age. The same
okay.
rule applies to sugar, but we do extend sugar till 2 years. The second year is more from the habit forming perspective. So the one
Mhm,
year is the health thing. The second year is more habit forming. So we all know that when we have something sweet and sugary, it releases some dopamine in my brain, and it also gives me like a sugar rush, which is like kind of perks me up and makes
energy
me feel
boost.
very energetic. So if the child gets that dopamine rush, and then when there's a slump, then there's that requirement or craving for more, and then that causes a problem because the child is becomes unruly, starts kind of crying, getting fussy, and etc. So it's just best to avoid. After there two, I would still avoid. I mean, I would still avoid for all of us as well, because sugar is not the healthiest option. But I cannot say no 100%, right? Because uh, they go to school, they're going to have birthday parties, they're going to grab. And if they don't get it at home, then they'll be deprived. So,
Exactly.
as far as you can push it, yes, but don't make it an abnormal situation.
So the substitutes which a a smarter parent have uh, figured out that they substitute the refined sugar with dates or jaggery or something like that, some
So,
other substitute. So
it's
how
healthier.
much it is?
So it's healthier, definitely, right? Like so,
Okay.
dates and raisins and apricots and figs are healthier.
Mm-hmm.
Jaggery is very marginally healthy, not like greatly healthy, right? Like so, it's got the
Exactly.
same amount of calories, but it's got little extra trace minerals. So we say, okay, fine, it's at least better than white sugar.
Refined sugar.
Yes, but the other things definitely they are healthier, but that doesn't stop the dopamine rush.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it still kind of makes that, it gives you that perk up, right? Like, so if you're feeling
Mm-hmm.
low on energy, you have a 1 or 2 dates, and then you can get through for the next hour or two, and you can get your brain wakes up. It's great exam food. when we're studying late night and stuff. So you soak dates in milk and make a smoothie and have
Smoothie
that.
out
It
of
just,
it.
yeah, it just perks you up a little bit, gives you energy. But so that's what it does. And so if I don't want my child to get habituated to sweet, then I should not do that kind of smart parenting either.
Okay. Okay, because I personally used to feel that it's one and the same thing. Sugar is sugar in any form. It is a healthier version doesn't mean that you will change the whole mechanism which is happening due to a
It doesn't.
stimulus.
It doesn't. But I mean, it's
Hmm.
healthier. So if somebody's used to it and really needs that fix, so then yeah, you can have a date after dinner or after lunch just to give you that sweet
Exactly.
craving.
Ma'am, one thing which every new mother has been taught when she is getting discharged from the hospital, that you have to feed your child in every 2 hours. Even if the child is sleeping, wake him up or wake the baby up, and you have to feed the baby every 2 hours. How much it is true, coming from a perspective of a lactation educator?
So, in the first few days of life, the mother is not producing milk, right? For 48 to 72 hours, it's just colostrum, it's very little stimulation will send the signals to the brain that milk production should start. So the rule of feeding every 2 to 3 hours, irrespective of the baby being sleeping, awake, whatever, holds true. This also teaches the baby because the baby is also coming from an environment where they were getting free food. They were floating around and the placenta was feeding them with zero effort. So they also need to learn that okay, I can't just keep sleeping. I need to get up and work for my food. So that's why we kind of encourage that the baby should be woken up. Other things that can happen is that most babies do end up getting a little bit of physiological jaundice. There is a risk of them getting dehydrated. So if you send the parents home with the rule that oh it's okay, let the baby sleep, it's not a good idea because the parent needs to learn, the baby needs to learn, and the milk supply needs to learn. So all of that said, first 15 days I would follow it and say that the baby needs to be woken up and fed every 2 to 3 hours. 8 to 12 feeds is the norm. Now, once the baby has learned, the mother has learned, the milk supply has set in, then I will say that the baby needs to eat a minimum of 8 times in 24 hours, but it need not be every 3 hours. So if the baby is sleeping well for a particular time duration, say if the mother is lucky and the baby goes to sleep at 11 in the night and then gets up at 4 in the morning, I would say let sleeping lions sleep and you sleep. But after 4 o'clock, when the baby gets up, till night 11, which is the rest of the 24 hours, the baby should finish 8 feeds. So we allow the baby to dictate their own schedule, not force the baby. But if the baby
Exactly.
sleeps for another 5 hours in the afternoon, then it's going to become very difficult for the mother to finish 8 feeds in 14 hours. So then that doesn't make sense. So one long nap plus 8 feeds and multiple short naps is what is recommended.
Okay, okay. With that, I would like to close the segment, and thank you so much, ma'am, for coming in, because we have just started the channel and we are a very small community. And when I was texting you, when I was giving you an email, I wasn't expecting. I just emailed and was like, let's leave it on the God. And I wasn't expecting a reply, and then you replied, and I felt so happy that you came in and you gave your time, and you have been so prompt throughout. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to bring you on our channel and giving all the necessary information for our viewers. With that, I would like you to just give one message for the viewers and for the aspiring people who want to join CAPA and do their educator certification. So please, just one last message from your side.
So, well, I answer all my emails for sure. Now, no venture is small or big. I started with one student when I started my classes. Yes, it's 21 years back. I may have a lot of students now, and my phone buzzes. I think even in this conversation, my phone has buzzed a few times, and I've cut the call. That's a different journey, right? Kappa also started in India with one student. So I think everyone has to start somewhere, and I'm sure that your podcast will pick up, and you will get many more experts to come to your podcast as long as you
Fingers
do it
crossed.
sincerely. So what's important is you do it sincerely, with diligence, and with your passion. That's what makes a success. So with that also is the message for my aspiring educators, right? Don't look for shortcuts. Don't look that, I have to do a certificate and I'm going to shine. That doesn't work. Bring in your passion, bring in your sincerity, put in hard work, and trust me, success is going to follow. So if you have that, then we are right here. Kappa India is there on Instagram. Kappa India is also there online. So we have www.kappaindia.com. That's CAPPAINDIA.com. And if you're interested, I'm happy to chat.
Thank you so much for joining us, and it has been a great session. And with that, we would like to thank ma'am and close the session. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye bye.